So welcome all. Happy to have you here. One friend of mine told me they could not make it, so this recording is definitely for them. But I'll probably post this on my YouTube page. So if tonight is super inspirational for you, you can always go there. I used to be a jazz performer, and so I hated recording because jazz is improvisational in the moment. But given that most of our life is asynchronous, not everybody can be here, right? So like, I'm cool with that. But as folks come in, I would like for you to just introduce yourself into the chat, like where you're dialing in from, and if you were to describe yourself as a meteorological event, so tornado or partly cloudy, or describe how you're showing up as a meteorological event, where you are in the world, what made you want to come here? Especially for those of y'all who don't even know, like for those of you who know me, you know what you're getting into. So for those of you who don't know me, like what made you want to like take a leap, right? Like I'm a firm believer in the maxim, if you build it, they will come. Right? That's kind of like my organizing model. So don't be shy. Announce yourself in the chat, and we will get going in a minute. Shout out to Portland. Right on. Right on. Cool. So I think we're at critical mass, y'all. But people will flow in and flow out as they do. 70 people signed up for this. And so think about that. So 70 people wanted to sit on another Zoom call to talk about their hopes and dreams. Right? So shout out to y'all for that. I'll give a brief introduction about me, who I am and where I'm from. But for those of you just joining, please introduce yourself, where you're from, what brought you here, and describe yourself as a meteorological phenomenon. Right, so Reggie Hubbard, he, him, his, the ancestral lands of the Piscataway in Maryland, and I'm summertime sun right now. So I was in Charleston, South Carolina this weekend, and the sun was blazing. That's why for those of you who haven't seen me, that's why I'm so brown right now, just because the sun was just like, hello. And as you all are still filling out the chat, first ground rule is come as you are, on camera, off camera. If you have to leave early, please do. So just come as you are, be comfortable, be present, right? Connect with one another in the chat. Like if someone says something, feel free to give them a thumbs up or a heart emoji or those sorts of things, because it's okay to connect and tell someone something kind, right? Like that's one thing I'll share. My lineages that I hold are several. So one, Hatha Yoga, from the Sri Vidya tradition, Vipassana tradition as taught by Jack Cornfield and Tara Brock. Sri Dharma Mitra is one of my teachers, one old school Hatha teacher. I also come from the Black liberation lineage, right? So as a free descendant of formerly enslaved humans, liberation is my lineage, right? And unapologetic liberation is my lineage. I'm part of a burgeoning crew of teachers who are also activists, right? So I wear my activism and my teaching practice simultaneously. I don't view my spiritual practice as something that's a trinket. It's a tool that I use to fashion peace in the world, first within myself and then within my larger community. And I'm of the belief that, I believe in the power of shared connection and expressed intention. Like I was one of the organizers of the first impeachment of the former president. When we first got started, we had 4 votes. We had 4. Like we needed 230. We had 4, right? So Rashida expressed what she expressed. We came up with a plan after that, and then we made history. But we had to have the intention, and we had to create community around that. And y'all don't need me to tell you that we're living in epic, fearful, inspiring, terrifying, and potential filled times at the same time. right? So they're fearful yet inspirational. Like all this stuff is happening at the same time. But perhaps what you do need me to tell you is that we got this. We're prepared for this. We're equipped for this, y'all. Like as I shared with you, I'm a direct descendant of people who hoped against the withering realities of oppression and ever-present reminders of their mortality and their societal insignificance beyond chattel. I'm a direct descendant of that. These enslaved humans and their allies began meeting in clandestine circles and held hope in their heart for this thing called freedom. And they began to speak from this heartfelt place, and then others began to do the same. And then the march toward freedom began. And yes, I'm oversimplifying here, but I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. You know what I mean? When heartfelt heart-filled people share space and share from the heart, magic happens. And I'm here to cast that magic because Lord knows we need it, right? So what I want to do is like do some throat clearing, quite literally, and then just dive into some practice, y'all. So I mentioned in the email that this is donation. So what I mean by donation is donation can just be a kind word. Hey, I did this kick-ass thing on the 23rd. The next one's on the 27th. You should come check this out. That's a donation, right? It doesn't have to be necessarily financial. But I mentioned donation at the top of this because we live in a consumerist culture, and I'm trying to break that. Right, you know what I mean? Like if these practices have been so generous to me, I offer them generously. What you do with them is up to you. But it's that generosity of heart and that generosity of spirit that we're going to lean into in our hopes and dreams tonight, right? And as I mentioned in this email, the purpose of tonight in this series, so like I'll be doing this every time there's a debate because we need as many people like for real. Like this ain't just a one-off thing. Like and anyone who knows me knows if it's one person, it's cool. If it's 36, it's cool. If it's 360, cool. We are a sangha of concerned, compassionate human beings holding space for individual and collective hopes and dreams. How awesome is that? Kind of cool, right? And as if the universe, through the media, through social media, were trying to anoint this gathering, two teacher friends of mine dropped some jewels in their social media today. Tara Brock talked about prayer as being a communion with our enlarged being. So Tara's a teacher of mine, but also a good friend. And George Mumford talked about how living guided by principles, placing principles before personality, allows us to define our true north, right? So true north is a metaphor associated with guidance, but also in the context of my liberation lineage, Harriet Tubman used the North Star to find freedom, right? So we're seeking to find freedom from like misogyny, please, right? You know, we have people actively campaigning to eradicate Black history, right? If you are queer, like people are attacking you, like I'm declaring emancipation from slavery to that craziness, man. No, no. And those of us who are spiritual practitioners, when we tap into our enlarged being, we can bring these things about because it's equally as true what we're fearful of and hopeful for. Both of those are true. What are you willing to invest in, though? You're going to invest I'm back. I'm back. They always be trying to shut me down. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. Right, I'm back. So allow yourself to find a posture that is rooted, grounded, and spacious. Maybe the shoulders shrug, maybe there are circles in the neck, but transition from a position at attention to one full of intention. Maybe you open and close the jaw, but at least begin to offer the invitation for the body to lose tension. Scan the body from head to toe, then toe to head. Bit by bit, don't blow through this, take your time. And then either take note of where there's tension in the body or offer gentle movement or a gentle wish that it release. Then begin to notice the breath in the body. Is there a temperature, a texture, a location? Is there a way that you can deepen the breath? Remembering if deepening the breath isn't accessible for you, perhaps you feel an anchor with feet on the ground or seat in a chair. But beginning to sense into the spaciousness that not only lives when we release tension, but that is our true nature. Now shifting to the emotional body, notice what feelings are present, what emotions are present. Notice where the emotional body and the physical body intersect. Do you feel sadness in a particular place? Do you feel joy in a particular place? Just notice where and how the body's connected. And from this deeper sense of connection, can the breath offer relief to the physical body? Can a sense of groundedness and support offer release to tension in the emotional or physical body? Now notice the quality of mind that you hold at present. And if there are any rough edges, can you smooth them out by resting your attention in loving awareness? The thing from which you emerge, the thing to which will return. And if thoughts are pressing, just remember that thoughts come and go and are only fortified by our attention. And as you feel into your energy shifting, notice also the energy shift of the group. Begin to feel into the connection that we share both subtly and tangibly in the heart. And some people call it karuna, some people call it compassion, some people call it metta. That limitlessness of love and compassion, which is the most transformative power in the universe. Feel our connection in that loving space. Now, from this loving space, begin to entertain what fear you may have about our current political situation. The fears are real, y'all. If we don't confront the fears, they'll never diminish. Do you feel that in the body? Where do you feel it? How do you feel it? And then shifting your awareness with this question, does the fact that we are confronting our fears in community make your experience more different? Does the fact that there are 30 of us here in heart space connection, confronting our fears with loving awareness, do you have more space? Does it offer a different perspective? And if you do have more space, if you do have a different perspective, just meditate on that subtle shift of feeling that you're the only one that feels something to knowing that you're not, and being in a group of people who are feeling the same thing. Now, from this deep sense of connection and space that we cultivated by compassionately confronting our fear, begin to hold space for your hopes and dreams. Not just for yourself, but for all of us. And as you feel into this space of hope, do you feel it in the body? Is there a sense of excitement? Is there a sense of good fear, the fear that keeps you honest? Not as opposed to the fear that keeps you limited. So begin to just sit with loving awareness, reflecting on your hopes and dreams, and how does this make you feel? Does it give life to other aspects of your energy? Does it give life to other aspects of your imagination? And if it's difficult to hold space for hope, just know that you're not alone in this either. We're not used to this. We're not used to holding space for hope. We're building a muscle together. This is the muscle that I've worked ridiculously in my teaching practice because nearly all my hopes and dreams have been fulfilled. I've only been doing this for 3 years. Because I now know that our hopes and our fears are equally true. And as Elder Thich Nhat Hanh talks about, where we place our awareness, we will water those seeds. So begin to imagine how my consistent watering of your hopes and dreams yield fruit. Not just for us here, but for those of us that we care about, for those of us that we don't even know. And we'll transition to a silent sit. Maybe you stay in seated meditation. Maybe you take out a journal and begin to write, which is written meditation. Maybe you take walking meditation or some other somatic practice. But whatever you do in our silent sit, it'll be probably about 7 minutes or so. Imagine this hope and dream taking root as we try it on for size. Believe it to also be true. And then rest in that belief. Silent sit begins now. Slowly begin to emerge from your sit. Maybe you touch tips of fingers together. Maybe you place one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. Maybe you rub palms together, create friction, and then place loving hands anywhere on the body. But slowly unwinding from introspection to a more external experience. Let's close the meditative portion of our experience with 2 clearing breaths. Inhale through the nose to whatever desired depth you care for. Release out nose or mouth. Inhale to illuminate this feeling of connection and hope. Exhale to eliminate any residual fear that keeps hope from being more present. If eyes have closed, gently open them. Drink in the space with a new perspective. Welcome back. So the organizer in me always has shares in my meditations, always, right? Because I want to know what the people are feeling, right? So you can either place it in the chat, or if you feel compelled to share your hopes and dreams. Here's the trick about hopes and dreams, y'all. They usually work better when you speak them, right? Like keeping them to yourself, like nah. But like if you speak them, it goes from like thought, it's like, think of it's literally manifesting from ephemeral to vocal to active, right? So I'll start by saying I am hopeful that we can figure out a way to have more sane conversations, even if it's just us, right? There's got to be a way to normalize civil conversation and civil disagreement in service to our collective well-being. The name of my teaching practice is Active Peace, and I know from lived experience that the more peace I have, the more peaceful I can be. I used to hate everybody and be very angry. Like everybody, people, like the people who have just met me, they're like, oh, you're so peaceful. The people that have known me my whole life were like, we're so glad this brother found meditation, man. We're so glad this dude found this, because it hasn't just helped him, it's helped thousands of other people. So my hopes and dreams are that we can normalize like the sharing of hopes and dreams in community, that we remember that the ugliness we see now is meant to distort and to give arise fear. But we hold the power to speak our dreams and then make them wrong, right? I mean, so that's what I hold hope for. So if someone feels called to share or wants to put something in the chat, we're here for that. Just either raise your for real hand or go ahead, Sylvia.
Hi, Reggie. You advised me to read Bell Hooks's book, All About Love.
I sure did.
And there is a statement in that book. It was one of the few things I've sat down and read practically every day. I'd make time for it because it mattered. And she says that cynicism is the mask of the disappointed and betrayed.
Absolutely.
And there is so much cynicism right now. And people don't even dare to dream because they have been so disappointed and betrayed. And I'm with you. I loved hearing you say, if you build it, they will come, because I call it field of dreams theory. And I am a huge proponent of it. And I am putting out there that by how we all live our lives and don't fall into that cynicism, and perhaps then a system of accountability and justice and truth will prevail, so those who have been blown into the disappointed and betrayed cynical corner can realize maybe coming out of it might be good for all of us. So that's what I'm putting out there. Thank you, Reggie.
You're welcome. Thanks for Thanks for taking me up on my book offer. And just gratitude for the share and for you being here. Susan said, my hope is that those who cause the most harm find expansion within their hearts and know love. The harm will cease. Yes. Yes. Right? Like, this is going to sound weird, but this won't shock many of you. I was talking to someone the other day, and I actually have compassion for those who are causing harm. I mean, that does not mean I condone what they're doing. But what I'm saying is that, like, if you held a worldview that was a lie, and it was exposed as a lie, and it was falling around in shambles around you, you lose your shit, right? Like that would be uncomfortable for you. So, Susan, your articulation is that they find that expansion is because everything feels so constricted, so they lash out to perpetuate that constriction. So, thank you for that share, and I wholeheartedly agree. Nina, my hope is that young, smart people can see past what they've always done. Yeah. And Nina, I do a lot of work with youth. It's there. It's there. I was at Netroots Nation a couple of weeks ago. I won't dive into and that's the other thing why I have to teach this. Like, I'm invited to teach at Netroots Nation and the Omega Institute, like this guy. So, like, I am the intersection of social justice and spiritual practice. Whew, it's a heavy load to carry. But Nina, the youth know that the gig is up. They just have to be like graybeards like myself, just have to remind them that the power is yours. They want you to think it's not, but that's because they got it, right? There are more people in Zennial world. Yeah. And not only that, like, I would also say the young at heart, right? Because I know a lot of people, like, when I tell people my age, they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, right. That's because I keep it super playful. But, like, the young at heart, just remember, too, that they don't have to fall into cynicism. The power is theirs, too, right? So shout out to all young at heart and to the young. And I also, Nina, I hold that hope for young, not so smart people, too, because I believe, right? Hope we realize that we have so much more in common with each other than so many people think. Absolutely. Deborah, I hope that those of us who are willing can bring about peaceful solutions. For sure. For sure. And, part of my activist practice is that I can only create peaceful situations in accordance with the peace that I got. So I did a lot of stuff as an activist where I was a total hot mess. And those results were very hot and very messy, right? And now that I've done more peaceful practice and even staked my teaching practice on, like, the concept of inner peace and external revolution, is that the peace that we build, like, it almost becomes like a butterfly garden, right? Like, your garden is so dope that, like, everyone wants to, like, be in your garden. That's what my teaching practice, but also my activist practice has become. Like, 6 years ago, when I was like, activists need to meditate, I don't have time for that, blah, 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 blah. And then when I would go to spiritual practitioners and be like, could you please get off the cushion? Rome is burning. Pick up a bucket. Like, come on, right? No, I'm very comfortable here in repose, right? I'm just gonna, So I held hopes and dreams that activists could be more peaceful and spiritual people could be more active, and look what's happening now, right? So when this dream holding practice is something I've done for years. I'm just happy to be able to share with you. Anyone else care to either voice or just share something in the chat? We're here for it. Right on, Heather. Heather, email me so we can talk about that for real, because, like, I'm really seeking to disrupt the masochistic culture in the movement. Like, the only thing I hate more than racism is the embrace of masochism within the movement. I don't be hating much. You know what I
Same
mean?
here. I would
Like
love that. Thank you.
hate it. Like it's just like this is
Mhm.
so unnecessary,
Yeah.
right? That's what they want you to do.
Hmm.
Yeah. So let's let's make
I'm
good mischief together.
absolutely. Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely,
Blessings. Thank you.
for sure. Gratitude. Yeah, Deb, can you imagine that? Like if and that's what for those of you that came early, I played this old school Donny Hathaway song "Sack Full of Dreams," where Donny basically in the '70s, which it wasn't good for many people, especially if you were black. Donny takes the blues, sings about his hopes and dreams, and makes something so beautiful. If you never heard the song "Sack Full of Dreams," put it in your ears and let it feed your mind and soul. Um, I believe that same thing is available to us right now. I got a sack full of dreams. Like I'm living them and like sharing them with people. And hopefully like your dreams can be like uplifted and we can just the time is so ripe for disruptions in so many places, and especially in the political sphere because political people take the word political as a bad thing. It means people. Political isn't careerist, opportunist people like conniving and manipulating. No, like political, the root of political is people, right? So if we're doing something in the interest of the betterment of all people, that's the most sacred political thing you can do, right? So holding space for your hopes and dreams and then sending that out to other people and then organizing with like minded people like that, that's the new revolution, fam. Shout out to Prince. Does anyone have any other questions or comments or shares? I have a question. Has this been nourishing to you? Sylvia, we'll get to you in a minute. Right on. And I'm serious. This is happening once, like every debate, right? So September 27th, when they do that garbage in Simi Valley, come on through. We'll be right here. Megan, then Sylvia.
Thank you so much, Reggie. So can I speak about my fear for like a second?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
So when you said
Only
that,
if
I
you
had
talk
it,
about the hope. Only if you talk about the hope.
I'll bring it around to the hope.
Thank you.
Um, when you mentioned the fear, like the first thing that popped in my head was all this anti-queer legislation that just got passed in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Because my some of you guys know this about me, Reggie knows this, but most of you probably don't. I was, very politically active in Florida for many years, and that's how I got connected with Reggie. And then like I had to leave. My kids are queer, and I saw what was going down politically between that and the COVID stuff, and I was a teacher in Florida also. So I had begun to get targeted, and I knew that like I had to get out. So we moved to North Carolina in 2001, and it's just been like a completely different experience. But now one freaking state senator switches parties, and now they have this whole slate of anti-queer legislation that just got signed into law. So trying to figure out, you can't run from it, right? It's like what is the moral of the story. And so when I'm thinking about my fear, I feel it in my throat, this fear that like my kids aren't going to be safe here either, right? And I feel like I felt it in my throat because I was so vocal in Florida, and I felt like there were all these like negative consequences from that, but like I wasn't going to be quiet. And then when we moved into the hope, like I felt the sensation shift into like my heart and my chest area. And I remember you had told me that like this part like goes all the way through your arms, right?
Yeah.
So like I could feel it kind of spreading out. And I started really imagining while we were meditating what it could look like if we don't see ourselves as living in this community or living in that community, or I'm safe because I'm in a blue state, or my kids are grown so I don't have to worry about this kind of thing. But we really started to let go of all of those perceived things that would keep us safe, right? Fences, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And really start working together, because these are everybody's problems, right? If they're coming for my queer kids, they're coming for your family next. And, and if we can use these attacks to build community and to come together with really good methods and solutions, then we can stop it when they come for your kids too, right? And then I know you, and I'm going to be there to help you. So I just thought that was really cool, like how I could feel the sensations physically change
Yeah, it's
as I
cool.
moved from fear to hope.
And just to be super yoga meditation nerdy about that, what's more expansive,
Yeah, your heart.
right? Like this is small but projects,
Yeah.
right? Like this, like the heart has its own electromagnetic field, right? So like if you shift that, like it's its own thing. So like shifting that energy, like, and you've heard me talk about this too, like when we're in alignment, like fire in the belly meets compassion in the heart and wisdom is spoken,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
So when we have the fire in our belly, which is what a lot of us have, this animus over what the fuck is happening right now, and then we like temper it with compassion in the heart space, we can speak truth to power. We can speak wisdom. We can speak these dreams because we're rooted and grounded, right? Like, as opposed to just flying off the handle. And the reason, that's another reason why I asked voice our fear so you could feel it. Where is it constricting, right? Like that's not a coincidence. So
Hmm.
if fear makes your throat tight and hope makes your heart open, like the open heart is going to open up the tight throat,
Mm.
right?
And when you said, that you used to be a hot mess, and so you were a hot mess organizer, I was like, oh, like Reggie got me, because I definitely was very reactive as an
Yeah.
organizer in Florida. And it was just like one crisis after the other. Okay, we're shutting down this detention center. Now we're shifting to this like political thing. Now we're going to go because they're doing, we're going to go to the school board. We're going to do this gun violence thing. And in between those frantic moments, we didn't do the things that we needed to do to prevent the next crisis, right?
Yeah.
And so this time that I've had to kind of like heal and rest and things here has been really cool for me, because I'm recognizing, like you're saying, like I can't embody, the solutions that I want to see in the world if I'm a frantic, scared, panic driven force, right?
And,
Like
and
I'm
can
never.
conversely, and you've seen this through my practice, like when you are confident and rooted and heart open and wicked smart, like you can like play, right? I feel like a ninja in this world, right? Like people come at me with some craziness, I'm like, nah, right? Because like it's all together. And the changes that I hope for, Pat, you and I were texting about that the other day, like the clarity of where I am now. Like, there's some things that I used to like viscerally associate with fear and anger and hatred being two of them or three of them. But like now that I'm just like, peace is my goal, hope is my fuel, and dreams are like my product.
Mm.
Let's go. You know what I mean? Sylvia, make it quick. Then we're gonna, because I'm trying to, like, I love being on time for work. In my personal life, I'm always late.
Very quickly, because you talked about Gen Z and we're talking about cynicism. I had my granddaughter listen to one of your sessions. You say you teach for young people.
I do.
Is there a way I can connect with these sessions? Because I'll get them to her. And if I send it to her, she will go.
I'll send them to you.
Thank you. Perfect. You got my
Yep,
email on your
I do.
list. Wonderful.
Yep,
Thank you.
I do. Well, dear ones, my last request of you is if you could place in the chat how you feel now. And for those of you newer to me, we can do a lot in 45 minutes, right? You know what I mean? I love a long sit, but a high and tight one from the heart space, and we can do a lot in 45 minutes. So grateful, free, yep, ashe, connected, right? Cool. So before we sign off, read how you feel now, connect with that. And like I said, we'll be back next month. So bring a friend, right? Like, let's just, like, again, as an organizer, any organizer will tell you, if 30 people come to your first thing, shit, I was hoping for like 6. Right? Right. So anyway, so let's just find a posture that gives us groundedness, spaciousness, but also most importantly, open-heartedness. That can be a seat, that can be on the back, that can be like whatever posture in your physicality gives you space and groundedness. And if you can even remember to how you felt at 59 of the last hour, notice how light you feel now. Notice the energy shift. And all we did was shift our perspective and share our fears in a circle. So 3 clearing breaths into this spaciousness, into this loving tenderness, remembering that this feeling here, whatever the fuck they're talking about right now, is no match for. Okay? 3 clearing breaths. Then until next time, inhale through the nose to illuminate. Exhale to eliminate. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale your dream. Exhale your fear. I bow before each of you with humility and gratitude that you showed up, hoping that this has been nourishing to you. Reach out to me with any questions or comments. Invite someone else to the next one. And until then, keep hope alive. Shout out to Jesse Jackson, but also for yourself. Love and peace and deep gratitude.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thanks,
Thank-
everyone. Really
Good
appreciate
night.
y'all.
Love and peace.
Take care, Reggie.
Thank you.
Bye, Lori. Good to see you.
Bye, Reggie.
Bye.